Welcome everyone to Therapeutic Astrology Podcast by me, Mana. Today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is what we could call modern mysticism in therapy and seeing with your soul. I have the author of I Am a Modern Mystic, So Are You, a How to Engage Your Intuition for Real Change from 2015. Yeah, there it is. He's with me today, Mirek Kanik. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Mana.
Thank you so much for putting your work out there and finding me in a way.
Oh, thank you for finding me. I think what you're looking for is looking for you.
Yes, that's the thing. So it's just, even just the title, of course, excites me because this is my passion of combining, even like just pointing people to therapy is a place where this can happen, where mystic experiences can happen. Do you follow me? Like you don't have, you can do other things, but you can also go to therapy and have a mystic experience. What do you say about that?
100%, yes. Well, I think someone said, some smart person, I don't know whether it was Einstein or someone, famous like that. He said, you can look at the world either that everything is mystical or nothing is mystical. And I think that defines, our human nature. I mean, we make those choices. We are either curious about everything and grateful,
Mhm.
or we just get by and take everything for granted. But I think we can learn a lot about our human nature from our children, not just our children, but all the children of the world, so to speak. When we're really young and innocent, and yeah, I say a year or 2 or 3 years old, we are so curious, and it shows our true nature. We're so curious about everything. The kids just running around and just like, oh, look at this, oh, look at the leaf, oh, look at that water dropping. Everything is so exciting. And then we just get used to it, and it's just like, oh yeah, leaves and tree and on the sun. Yeah, all right, I've seen it yesterday.
That is so true. That is so true. So I want to go to what is a mystic. What is a mystic, and what do you mean by mystical? Because it's such a claim that you have there in the title of your book. You are a mystic too. So what is that?
Well, yes, I am a modern mystic, so are you.
Yeah.
And I really truly believe in it, and not just believe in that. I kind of know. I mean, you can have a beliefs, and you can change them from time to time if you want to. You can have true beliefs, you can have false beliefs, all kinds of beliefs. But actually, to know by observation that we are all mystics, all of us, every single one of them. Now, in the past, and it's still in some traditions, people want to have a tendency in some institutions, for example, like church, for example, and they have the tendency of usurping the title for an exclusive kind of people. Well, fair enough, I mean, they are church fathers, and then they are founders, and they are mystics, but the whole word mystic is quite mystifying, actually. Because it's actually at some point as a little bit misleading, because no institution should claim that reality that belongs to all of us. So I'm a modern mystic, so are you.
Yeah, good. It belongs to all of us. I like that. And so, in the more traditional sense, you mentioned the cataphatic theology and the apophatic theology. Could
Yeah, that's something, cataphatic or apophatic theology. It's a kind of an approach how to experience, I guess, or how to maybe describe the divine, or if you like, God. It's a different meaning for different people. But I think it comes from the Christian traditions, where people were worshiping divine in a different ways. Some people will be worshiping, and it's still valid today, through symbols, through representation of characters, and like probably the good example will be Catholic Church, for example,
Mhm.
and it will be cataphatic, where there is a attempt to describe as God is. But then you've got other traditions, like, for example, I think Orthodox, where they looking at the divine, at the same thing as what this divine is not, because it's so very difficult to describe God for anybody. Obviously, yeah, we all have our own interpretation, but just to make it things easier, and so it follows or fits into a particular institution dogma, they go one way or the other. None of them is wrong. It's they're all good. There's just an interpretation, and those interpretation and people always have been curious about, because it's so mystifying. It's so mystifying. God divine, they are the concepts that how do we know what it is? But we can actually, whether it's cataphatic, apophatic, or any religion defining. And when the mystic is someone that's sitting on the top of the mountain and it's meditating all day, is that a mystic, or is the mystic a mother who has got children and attends to them, finding that absolutely unbelievable strength and exercising that amazing need for contribution, giving beyond her own comfort. Mothers, fathers, anybody, anyone in a relationship. So the mysticism, my observation is that mysticism belongs to all of us. It is this curious mystical kind of a realm, like when we look at children, how excited they are about seeing, I say, that leaf on the tree on when the breeze comes in, and they just fascinated. They're just in that element. They're just like mystified. What is that? They've never seen this before.
Yeah.
It's pure mysticism.
So mysticism points to something, and that's why we often talk about it as an experience, because it's beyond words, and it's like the words mystifying is like what we don't know. We can't really categorize it as anything.
Yes, and 100%. And it's great that we can't categorize it, because it will be very, very boring if we all of a sudden describe what God is, what mysticism is, and everything's like, really? I mean, so what's the point? What's the point? Where's the thrill of discovery? It'll be very boring. So I hope we never discover what it is. We're always going to ponder. We're always going to be searching and being grateful.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I feel like asking you, Mira, a critical question. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Ask me anything. Ask me anything, And if you want to meet something controversial, I'm okay with that too.
Oh, good. I like that. You're a good Aquarian controversial person. No, that's good. So my critical question is, because exactly for the reason why we're talking about right now, that mysticism is inexplainable, then you have the term in your book to use mysticism as a therapeutic tool. And I was kind of thinking about, because I want to go to now the topic of how have your experiences been with mysticism in psychotherapy, but can it be used as a tool? Because a tool sounds like more like an instrument, like something we can measure with the result of, and mysticism is something totally else.
Yes. Well, my observation again, and I'll talk about my observations. Yes, I see a lot of people, and there are certain patterns, and when some people will be calling is different terms. For example, a mystical experience is certainly a therapy, meaningful therapy, when there is a collaboration and what you would call a flow, where people really go into type of trance, something that that you go into the flow, and there is something else that is emerging. It's beyond words, that is beyond behavior. All of a sudden, people go into this mystical realm that is unexplainable. And sometimes, when I'm in the therapy, sometimes I'm thinking, is this is that what it's supposed to be? Should I be thinking of something, or should I let go with that flow? And every time I say I go with the flow, and every time that happens, something changes. Something changes in people, and you can visibly see it, how they are committed. All of a sudden, they are committed to make changes, because everybody that comes to our clinic, they are looking for some better outcomes.
Yeah.
They want to be happier. They want to tap into this secret. So I always tell them, well, if I tell you the secret, I'm laughing, I'm joking. If I tell you the secret, it's going to cost you more. And they go, and some of them, seriously, they go like that. Yeah, I'll pay anything. You sure? I said, no, I'm just joking. It's okay. It's like, I can't tell you, I can't tell you anything that you already know. We're just talking like adults do, like humans do, like we meaningfully communicating. If I was here to tell you that I know more than you do, it'll be just like stealing your watch and selling them back to you, pretending that they were mine. But they
Right.
know they're yours.
Mm.
So
So
certainly, mysticism in therapy, it can be very, very useful, and you can use it as a tool. But I think it'll take a special kind of preparation, and maybe also a willingness on the part of the collaborator, let's say therapist.
yeah.
This is something very curious, because you cannot teach this in school. I don't think you can. I think it's just something like, maybe, let's say, artists. You got it. You got it in you, or musician. And this type of thing. The people have this, and the only way to expressing it is by doing it, not by talking about it. Like, for example, uh, example. Let's say, excuse me, famous painters, whether it's let's say, my favorite, Salvador Dali. Okay,
Yeah.
Salvador Dali, amazing. And imagine that he, instead of painting what's within him, he will be describing it in words, and he will be doing a research. What is a great painting? It'll be farcical. It'll be funny. It'll be, I don't know. It's just like insulting, I'm sure, to Mr. Dali, and it will definitely kill him.
Mm.
And this is probably one of the meaning of saying, if you don't express what's within you, what's in front of you is going to kill you.
Mm.
Yeah. So Mr. Dali, or Rembrandt, or Mozart, or any of those great, great, amazing, touched by divine individuals, because they have to be touched by the divine. We all touched by the divine, but
Mm.
these people somehow got they've got an extra insight.
Mm.
And I would say that we all have, I'm confident we all have it, but I'm not quite sure how you reach such a deep understanding of that. Yeah, like, for example, how can you compose like Mozart does?
Mm.
I mean, you have to be touched by divine directly.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not there in my understanding yet either. But I am making the claim that mysticism in psychotherapy, and actually, if people don't know, I didn't mention that you're a psychotherapist, but you are,
Yes.
and have been for a long time. Yeah, um, and but in psychotherapy, I feel like you can't really force it, and that's why the words like using it as a therapeutic tool was a little bit like, I wonder how that is supposed to be understood. But as you say it here, as you explain it, I feel it's what you're pointing to is the experience, and and letting that work for you therapeutically, absolutely. But do you see this assumption I have experienced up until now? I have is that you can't really plan for it. It just, of
Yeah.
course, you can slow down and you can all of that, but it kind of happens if it does. So,
Yes, I think that's what people are craving for in any discipline. When you let go
Yeah.
of all the inhibitions and all your thoughts, all the
Mm,
assumptions, all the judgments, and
mm,
and just make yourself available. The interesting thing is that whoever you're interacting with, they sense that because we're all humans. We're all humans, okay? And you can't lie. There's a saying, can't lie to all the people all the time. But I say you fundamentally on that level, you can't lie to anybody.
yeah.
People might be clustered with life that happens to them, like traumas or anxieties, and so they have difficulties to reach that flow point. But that can be unraveled. That can be unraveled. It's just something like, for example, let's say use an example. Let's say that you've got a beautiful body like we all have, and then somehow you spend some times in a pond full of leeches, and you come out of that pond, and you're covered with leeches. And so nobody can even see the piece of your skin. Everybody is looking at you, and you yourself start believing that you're a leech, but you're not. And someone comes and picks one up, and the next, and through this, in those spaces, there is this skin, beautiful skin emerging. And so you just get those leeches out of you that was sucking your life. And all of a sudden, in time, you look at yourself, so I'm divine.
Mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. So what you're saying here is kind of the explanation that we can give for something like a mystical experience in therapy, right? Because that's like what we're trying to do is get rid of whatever distorted our view of ourselves and the world.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So again, my observation is that you can't force those things. You can't give people advice even because it will be disrespectful. I mean, let's face it. You're meeting someone for the first time. Whether this is in a cafe, you're meeting someone for the first time, or someone comes to the therapy. The same rule applies. A rule of engagement. When you see people for the first time, you don't give them advice. You listen. You
Mm,
listen carefully. You're being curious, and through the curiosity, people sense that, and
mm.
then you get into this flow. You go into this mystical flow
Yeah.
that, if you let go, something beautiful emerges. I don't know what it is. I mean, probably subatomic physicists will be able to explain what's going on in between little particles under the minuscule environments, quantum physics, quantum mechanics. We're only
Sure.
tapping into this. What is
Yeah.
that energy that makes everything dance? Because relationships like a dance. Relationships like a dance. Everything vibrates. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
who am I to tell you what to do? I always
Mm.
say, well, I'm not going to give you any advice, but there's going to be homework.
there's, there's plenty of stuff to do. So, I mean, yeah. So even I feel like just leaving the therapy for the experience more than like you should do this or that. We have plenty of that, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
okay, Mirek, I want to ask you about something darker now.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
because this is
oh,
wonderful. This is flow, and this is the experience of the divine, and we can chat a long time about it because, and I'm sure people listening, a lot of therapists are listening, so we'll all have our own experience with that in therapy and call it
yes.
by different names as well. But so, what is dark mysticism? And is it
The
something
dark.
should we be afraid of it?
No,
Okay.
no. I think. I think. I think we are afraid of uh, of the unknown for the reason that we're forgetting to understand how our brain works. I mean, the fear. Okay, let's explain this real quick on the simple terms, right? The brain's got many different areas of functioning, many different areas. But let's look at it, two main areas of the brain. One is reactive part of the brain, and the other one is logical. For example, we're using right now frontal cortex that deals with the logical thinking. Now, at this point, like when we're talking, for example, or listening, there is no fear. We're not afraid of anything. Okay, and so our reactive part of the brain is lying there dormant because no, there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to be afraid of. So there is no need to fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
Once we somehow calm down the little part of the brain that we have inherited, what the researchers say through the evolution, if we just put it to sleep, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of. Now, once the reactive part of the brain is put to sleep, so to speak, okay, there's no need to fight. There's no need to be afraid of anything. There's no need to be afraid of anything like dark mysticism or anything,
Okay.
because there is no need to fight, flight, or freeze. So that comes from our mechanisms of survival, which we inherited from animals. The animals have that is part of the nature, and they have to survive in this way. But for us humans, we have grown cortex, which is amazingly huge and what they say, the best functioning computer, if you like, in a whole universe. But what is interesting, the amygdala is really, really tiny, really part where the fear lives, for fight, flight, or freeze. There's a little tiny part can control this big cortex that grew around it. Which is there's another mystery. How come we cannot get well, sometimes we can, we train ourselves through meditations and understanding, being aware, exercise, sleep, diet, and all of that we're looking to calm down those fears. So imagine that there is no fear. Imagine that we don't have the fear. Then dark mysticism will be just a normal thing, just like anything. There's nothing to worry about. Okay. Now, when we talk about the brain, we must mention a profound relationship between the brain and the heart.
Oh yeah.
Because the whole wisdom comes from your heart. From our hearts, all wisdom. Now, let me just attempt to explain. A lot of people know this, but if I were asking anybody a question and say, what is more important? What is more important, the heart or the brain? Now, people will stumble and think, well, I don't know, maybe brain, maybe heart. But until we say, can heart live without the brain? Well, can. Can brain live without the heart? No, can't. The heart stops, the brain stops, yeah? Now, something very interesting on that point. Imagine this, that something very mystical happens, only on the fourth week of a human development in mom's tummy, right? In the fourth week, the tiny little heart emerges, self-initiating as the first organ of all. The brain does not exist there at all because the brain is the last one to develop. So the heart, tiny little heart, without any impulses from the brain, because it doesn't exist, they are connected. The brain, the future brain and the nervous system is connected with the heart in the cardio-neuro tube. Now, the neurotube, it's just a hollow tube. There's nothing there. Okay, but heart is already there. And interestingly, for the first time ever, goes boom, and it beats without brain, without any other impulses. We don't know exactly how that happens. There will be a lot of scientists that will be trying to explain this. Okay, no one has explained it yet. Okay, but heart is self-initiating, and so without the heart, brain can do nothing. It's just like computer that you do disconnect from the power. Okay, so now we have two things: the profound relationship between the brain, and I'm talking about a logical thinking, our human logical thinking that we've developed, and the connection with the heart. It's profound. Once we have that employed, those two things, that's fundamentally the most important relationship that we have with ourselves, between the heart and the brain. Now we can actually explore the world. Some people can be trained to completely disconnect the reactive part of the brain. I was just reading about this amazing astronaut just the other day. Escaped me his name. What a guy! And he was outside of the international space station, and there was he was out there, repairing, and his suit started to malfunction, and so that there is only a few minutes if your spacesuit malfunctions when you're outside, before your body starts shutting down. So he survived. He got back into the capsule. Now they measured his heart and his state of anxiety. It was close to zero. He was able to put the little amygdala to sleep. He was completely calm. His heart did not show any signs of distress. So it is possible. It is possible.
He trained that consciously. Did he train that on purpose?
Well, he survived. He went back into the capsule of ISS.
Yeah, but did he train the no anxiety and?
Yeah. I'm sure that the astronauts, they're going through amazingly difficult training to be able to do this. Okay, so they are humans just like us.
Yeah.
Okay, it's possible. So I think fundamentally, what needs to be understood in therapy, that what we have to go into the trance or that realm of mysticism, what we have is our heart that carries courage, which is opposite to fear, with the logical part of the brain. When you synchronize those two things, now you can go on a journey of mystical.
Yeah. Wow. So what you are talking about there, is that the trance state? Because that is also something you work a lot with, right? The trance state.
Yes. That will be a trance, something close to trance, which is a flow, which is the state in between type of thing. So you're not sleeping, but you are conscious, but you're not quite awake, because your brain waves are slowed down into the state of sleep-like state. So if you were looking at the monitor, you would see that the same line resembles the frequency of sleeping, but you're not sleeping. You're aware. I'm saying that with such a conviction because I'm also a hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
And I deal with this all the time, and so I can see. Also, there's an institute of HeartMath which talks about that a lot, and a lot of people are familiar with that. They've been doing a research on what actually heart actually is, whether it's just a pump or maybe it's got a other purposes as well, and definitely yes. So I think mysticism around the heart, the connection with the brain, the connection of the heart with others. They've done experiments of this kind where they measured the influence the heart sends, sending a good or bad vibration throughout the body that goes beyond the body, and they've researched it, and they've come to the conclusion that actually the heart can influence others, or other hearts, if you like, and that frequency up to 2 or probably more meters outside of your body. So now you go. Now you walk into the room, okay, and you feel a little bit out of place. You walk in the room and you feel a little bit jittery, you know. So now either your heart is influencing the other, or the other is influencing you. You walk into the room and there is a calmness, and then there are other people, and so the same rule applies.
Do
So
you
actually,
know?
into hearts. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just curious because this is a question we discuss a lot in us who are studying therapies. Like, who is influencing who? Do you know that? Like, if it, because this also goes on in the actual therapy session with the influencing of the hearts and connecting.
Okay.
Do you know about
Well,
who is who?
yes, therapists are trained professionals. It's not that they influence someone, no. However, they are in a position for collaboration, for invitation, for collaborating. So they don't actually influence, because you can't influence someone without their permission.
You can't. Don't you think we always influence each other without permission? Like right now, you're influencing me, and like,
Yeah, yeah, we're influencing other people, but not without their permission. I can't influence you if you shut down.
right, okay, like that. Yes, I can make an active
Right.
choice to.
Yeah, but I can mesmerize you. Yeah, I can mesmerize you. I can tell you some stuff. Politicians are very good at that. Okay,
Yeah,
they will mesmerize you. They will tell you things that you think, oh, maybe this is right. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
then you say, wait a minute, whoa, 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 that wasn't right. That wasn't true. Okay, but we're talking about tapping into the trance and the flow that
yeah,
there is mutually, it's like a dance, so it's
yeah.
mutually recognizable and
Mm,
acceptable.
mm, mm. Yeah, this is really good. This is good stuff. And talking about mysticism and therapy. Yeah, this is the whole topic. I feel we are just looking at it from different angles here. And I think the answer, because when a question keeps arising, often it's like it cannot really be answered. It's hard to say because the client is, sometimes I will say something that the client was thinking, and we can't really discern that exactly.
Yeah. I give you an example.
Yeah.
In that type of very question type of thing, where who is influencing who. I think when we in our element and we have a, so to speak, good intentions, um, some people will be receiving messages that others won't, and vice versa. Let me give you an example. That happened to me many times, where someone will say, "Oh, thank you," or whatever. I'm thinking, "What did I say?" I'm like, what was it?" I don't, it was quite intentional. So sometimes it happens. Uh, this happens like kind of a channeling. So you got, as a therapist, you got to open yourself up and to say, okay, well, let's go through it together. And so the client will sense that, it will open up too. And so there is that flow. That mystical flow. Example. I spoke to a priest just a long time ago, and I was describing this, that this something, sometimes, I say something, I don't know what I said, but people said that it was important for them. Okay, so there is a message. You're just channeling. And he said, well, sometimes when I do the homily, I say something and I'm on a topic, right? And then I don't think much of it afterwards. And then people will come to me and they say that something happened to them, that they got some kind of a message. Just an example,
Yeah.
some kind of a message. So we just making ourselves available. We're not experts of anything. We just
Yeah.
allow ourselves to be available, and people do the same thing, so we influencing each other. But again, that can only happen so if there is a good rapport. So I
Yeah.
think, And it's typical, as you know, in therapy, Mana, that what is the most important thing in therapy is the rapport. It's not what people know or what the titles are. It's misleading and misunderstanding. It is the rapport to get
Yes.
into that mystical realm.
I love hearing you speak, and I really relate personally, and I feel this is a Piscean thing. I have to say, you have the moon in Pisces, and I'll speak to your astrology a little later. But this is, I mean, mysticism. Of course, it can be experienced by anyone. I agree with you on that. So I'm
Yeah.
not trying to, but I am trying to say that it's in the archetype of Pisces. I'm a Pisces sun. You're a Pisces moon. And whoever you are listening, you have Pisces somewhere, you have Neptune somewhere, and it may be more important than you think that you're aware of at the moment. So it's just really nice to listen to like this. Mirek, I'm curious because before we began, you were asking, can something be left out if if I wanted to? This is a usual question we have when something is recorded. But then I got the feeling that maybe there is something in you that's a little controversial, also because you are an Aquarius sun. So is there something in this topic where you felt like people are strongly against it, or have you had any obstacles? Is there anything you want to share with me that's a little on edge? Because I'd love to hear.
That the that people are against.
Yes.
Oh, people are against a lot of things all the time, Republicans and Democrats, the leftists and the rightists, they always say something opposite. Okay, I would like to say, are you talking about professional people or are you talking about clients?
I'm like, what is it we cannot say in this field? Like, is there anything where you're like, oh, this I should be aware of not mentioning this, but then there's something in you that kind of also want to mention it.
Oh, okay. In a mental health, in a mental health industry. Well, well. I don't want to be controversial, and I don't have to be because people are quite aware of that. That psychology, for example, I'm not taking anything out of psychology. Psychology, unfortunately, is on a journey of, actually has done, wants to. Wants to make science out of art, which I think is a big misunderstanding because therapy is whether it's is served by psychologists, social worker, counselors, psychotherapists, whoever, psychiatrists. Okay, that it doesn't really matter of the title, but somehow sometimes, and this is quite true in Australia, where psychologist body is so very powerful that it's actually what's so to speak called the shots, which actually when you look deeply into this, you will quickly discover, not many people are aware of that psychologists who are doing counseling and therapy are not trained for it. This is psychology is the typical science degree when they do the research during the university studies, which is quite different to what counselors and psychotherapists do. Clinical psychologists, yes, they go into how to work with the clients, but just a normal psychologist, no. So, for example, my training as a psychotherapist and a counselor has got 6.5 years of full-time university studies. I am not recognized just not on the same level as psychologists, and simply it is because in my title there is no, it doesn't say psychology, it says something else. So psychologists, they have their own it's just like a club. It's just like a club, and let's say, if there's a doctrine, that you have to follow, or let's say, anything, let's say a party that rules the land, so you gotta be, you have to play the game. You either in or you're out. Well, it happens that I'm out, not by intention, by actually being a purist, because I started to study my university study on a double degree, psychology and counseling. And then I quickly discovered that psychology, it's not going to take me to where I want to go. Meaning, it's too scientific. It's not. It's simply saying psychology tries to make science out of art. Again, something similar to when I said originally, where famous painters will be describing. Let's say they go to school, and instead of painting, like psychotherapists go to uni, and counselors, and from Wago, they've got a role plays with the cameras, they're trained. By the time they leave uni, they are absolutely prepared 100% for their counseling work. Guess what? Psychologists, not a single hour they spent during their studies having a role plays or having a real clients. I mean, I don't know how it is in other countries, but actually in Australia, psychologists, they don't know much about therapy. And I think you will not be even able to write a thesis like I did, at university on mysticism, because it will be just like, how can you prove it? Well, you don't prove those things. Those things exist. Your research is just to be connected with people. How can you be connected with people when nobody has ever told you that? So they leave the university, go out there to the public. They doing therapy. What sort of therapy do they do? This is big misunderstanding. And at the same time, government is supporting the whole psychology board, and counselors, they're like a second grade because they don't belong to the club.
Yeah.
I'm not controversial because not too controversial, because a lot of people know that. People just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. But it is nice that you give it voice like this. I'm getting more and more excited as you speak because it's both on a very practical level, like you're mentioning, like the status of being a psychologist, and there's something about funds from the state, people who can't afford maybe to go to private psychotherapists, they will just go to psychologists, and that's the whole thing on a practical level. But then there's also what it mirrors in our society. Like, what is it that we value, right? And I love that you're talking about art. So therapy is art. And if it's art, if it's art, it's creativity, and then the spirituality is right there for you. That's the same thing.
100%. Yeah. So maybe this is why the governments in Australia, for example, spending, I don't know, I imagine millions, if not billions of dollars of mental health, and there is no improvement. But then you see that the psychologists, that they have a registered name that no one can use it but just them, and they are being favored by the government, And the poor counselors, they are really good people out there. They're really, really great and trained, and everything that goes with. They go unrecognized. Unrecognized. I mean, there's something wrong here.
There's something wrong here. Yeah.
Something wrong. I mean,
Yes.
there's gotta be something that we can do about it. I mean, just like I refused right from the start when I was at uni. I'm not gonna go and join this party just because it's convenient. No, I wanted to be a purist, and I have emerged out of this, and I finished 6.5 years of full-time study at uni. So I did my masters and everything, thesis and all, and then I thought, well, what's next? What I'm gonna do PhD, right? But I'm thinking, okay, I already done university studies at that high level, and I'm thinking, well, if I've got to go and again now at this level, I need to comply and write my PhD thesis like I did my masters. I'm thinking, okay, instead of that, I'm gonna do my own PhD. So I wrote a book.
Yeah. There we have it. Wonderful. This is your PhD. Great. That's a great recommendation for people.
It's not only 40,000 words, just like a typical PhD has, and it's purposely done. It's purposely done. And all of this, that's my PhD. my own. It's
This
been
is,
recommended by a lot of people. A lot of people, there's lots
yeah,
of symbolism in here.
yeah,
So I recommend if someone wants to dive in and
yeah,
maybe discover the
mm,
fact that
mm,
actually we are all mystics. We are all mystics.
yeah,
So discover, and I'm sure the example that's given in this book are given for people to encourage people to look at their amazing life, and
yeah,
everybody's got a book in them, and everybody's got experiences, and some of the things that I'm talking about and there is things that they are factual. There's no fiction in it.
mm,
It's all factual. And there are some of my experiences, about dark mysticism, about
yeah,
suicide, and
yeah,
all of this stuff. Something that everybody knows and can tap into it, about grief and loss and joy and laugh and all of that. We all are modern mystics. So the term is not designed for anyone in particular, whether it's psychology or who knows? Who knows?
yes,
It
yes.
belongs to all of us. It belongs
I'm
to all of us. We all mystics.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you wrote that book and you did that PhD for many reasons. Also, just like, okay, let me do it in a different way. I just love people who are thinking differently outside the box and dare to take the consequences of that, because of course that has a price to go it your own way. I mean, the result and the I mean, it's also a win to have a book, but it's also a cost to then not be recognized as a PhD, you know? But I just love that the courage to do something different. And then the whole message, I think I texted you that I have solo podcast in Danish, so no one here will understand. So that's great. But I'm talking about mysticism, and of course I go back and look at different mystics, but it's hard for me not to get sometimes really provoked by because it's
Yeah.
so embedded in Christianity mostly, right? It's so embedded within
Oh,
that, and I can be like, oh, outraged from some of it. And so I'm so happy to hear you say, hey, open it up, there's a way to be a modern mystic, and there for you right now. And actually, I thought maybe to end, we have some astrology in the end, but just before the end, I'd like to hear about this, where you talk about a crucial moment and that we're all looking for meaning and everything has a purpose. Do you know what I'm
yes.
talking about?
We all have purpose.
Yeah,
Just one more thing, Mana.
yeah,
Just backtrack just a little bit.
yes,
We don't need validation. I don't need validation from any institution or anybody or any government or any party. I don't need that. For me, as a therapist, the validation comes from people that I meet,
yeah,
people that they do better.
that you
That's what
help
I
the
don't need
people.
validation. I
No,
don't need
it's
validation for anyone else. I'm here to serve people,
yeah,
and I rejoice when they actually pick something somewhere and they do better.
yeah,
So
I
you can
get
call me
that.
whatever you want to call me, and I'm a modern mystic. So are you?
Yes, yes. And miracle. We can call you that as well. So so I just
Yeah.
wanted, so it's this about even getting out of bed or taking a shower is guided by some story we tell ourselves about why it matters. So it's that whole meaning.
Yes, yes, yes. Viktor Frank, in his book "Man's Search for Meaning," he described this: how the fundamental drive for every human is the meaning. We don't do anything without the meaning. And as you said, Mana, we're telling ourselves a story, all kinds of different story. Okay, but a story about why do I get up in the morning? What is the meaning behind it? Why do I go to work? Why do I meet the friends? Why do I start the family? Why do I buy a car? It's all meaning. Without that meaning, we are lost. We would be nothing. We
Yeah.
would not get up from bed. So meaning is fundamental. We're gonna find the meaning. Why am I doing this? What is this all for? And what's the meaning? And once we find the meaning, for example, let me give you an example. Parenthood.
Yeah.
Parents. What's the meaning of having a sleepless nights and worrying sick because the kids acting out and they don't go to school and this? What's the meaning? Where do you find the strength to just keep going? What's the meaning? What's the meaning? What's the meaning of that? Well, the meaning is to give. The
Oh,
meaning
very
is
good.
to contribute, is to give beyond your own comfort. And
Mm.
the parents, yeah, very good example of that. Our parents, all the parents in the world, very good mothers, amazing, amazing mystics, amazing. Fathers, of course, yeah, too. That connection, that you see your kid, that is. You want the kid to do well, and you see a little child, and he's just falling because he's learning to walk, and
Mm.
it's heartbreaking to see the child falling and hurting. But you know that those failures, the little failures, they have a meaning. That child will walk, but how will we walk? Because
Mm.
that child's got the resolve, the meaning. I want to walk. And guess what? All of a sudden, we're all walking.
It's a miracle. Oh, great, great. Thank you for your enthusiasm there as well. I see that also in your chat, but so I don't have your time of birth, and so I just kind of want to focus on your sun and your moon because I don't know the houses and I don't know the ascendant, but the sun and the moon is the sun and the moon, so they're really important no matter what, and that is so it's so I mentioned you have the moon in Pisces and the sun in Aquarius, and that could actually also bring that enthusiasm in a way because it's like going upward. Um, but
Yeah,
so
interesting.
what I thought about is that it's also really good at putting aside your own personal emotional needs. I think you even said that here in the end. What did you say? You said like giving beyond. Or you said some. What did you to remember?
Beyond your own comfort.
Beyond
And
your own
actually,
comfort.
the highest human need is to give.
Ah,
When we see someone in distress, we're naturally thinking, I want to help. I want to help.
yeah.
This is natural. Now, let alone to people that you know, people in the relationships, parents to kids,
Mm,
brothers, sisters. We want to give and we feel good. We know when we give, something happens and we get that feedback and we feel good for just for
mm,
giving. So
mm,
giving is fundamental.
yeah.
Giving the need we have to give, we have to give to feel better. And
Yeah.
that's one of the fundamental conditions of our mystical experience, that to give. And sometimes we find ourselves to give beyond our own comfort. But we
That's
feel good.
good. It's good. I mean, and it's something that in your own birth chart personally is really good at, setting aside your own and also providing then a wider perspective with the Aquarius sun, a new solution, very humanitarian solutions. And then I thought about, okay, how is this good in therapy? Well, that is because with those qualities, you can address really complex situations. People are complex, and and it's so nice to meet someone who can understand, that there's more to the situation. And also, what about the mysticism? Well, that is the Piscean, and the Pisces moon, where and what it also is, I haven't mentioned yet, is that so the moon is where we are safe and it's our personal meaning, it's our personal connection to everything around us, our connection to life, and it's how we can find happiness. And then when you have a moon in Pisces, where you find happiness and where you are fulfilled is only when there is a larger meaning, something that goes beyond time and space, goes beyond the separation that we are brought up in, beyond form, and then you can make real use of the dream world, the active imagination, um, anything mystical, to resolve
Yeah.
emotional hurts, to resolve something, something traumatic. So yeah, that's your Pisces moon. What do you say about that?
It's wonderful. I think you put it together, so nicely, So maybe there is a there is a hope for people that describe things,
Yeah.
and so yeah, um, I think also we probably we've got a big poster, in our lounge room, stop overthinking. Those things are natural. They are just like breathing. So we need to let ourselves to let this out, not to be afraid, not to be afraid to care, to let out and come to this basic of what it means to be a human person. We all know what it is. So in a therapy room, we're not doing anything different other than modeling how we interact with one another when there is no fear, when there
Mm.
is collaboration, when there is
Yeah.
giving, when there
Mm.
is validation. All of these things the people take with them, and based on this model, they introduce this and implement in their own lives, in their own relationships. So we talk about this all the time, and yeah, and quite often we repeat this all the time because repetition is a mother of skill. Someone said, I think this is a very wise saying. And even Aristotle said that happiness is a habit because happiness is what we do all the time. It's what we do habitually all the time. So you want to be happy, keep repeating good things that makes you happy
Yeah.
constantly. Just do it, just that, okay? And discard. Life will throw at you things that
Yeah.
are unwelcome.
Mm.
Okay, don't overthinking it. Be grateful. Be
Mm.
grateful. Be grateful. So thank you for the way that things are. I mean, this
Mm.
is the greatest thing that I've ever heard. I mean, how can you be grateful for misery? How can you be grateful for anxiety? I don't know. That's not a question I'm willing to answer. But I would say there is a bigger picture. Say
Yes.
thank you for the way that things are.
That's the thing. That's the archetypes that you are embodying and that are living through you. It's really that wider perspective to go there. So thank you so much for inspiring us, for letting me listen to your book and sharing what you did with us. Mirek Kanik.
That's gonna stick. Yeah,
That's gonna
Manas,
stick.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate you reaching out. So unexpected from the other side of the world, all among this whole big heat wave that
Yes.
is aboarding all the Europeans.
Yeah.
But we here down under, with this European blood, and we're thinking, oh, we've got this, like weeks on end, so you can bear it for 1 or 2 days. It's okay. You're gonna survive. It's all right. You're a
Thank
modern
you.
mystic. You can take it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the encouragement.